Despite Hector Neris signing, the Yankees still have some guys they're interested across the league that are still available, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about some of these options. There are 4 options that they've been linked to that are still available on the market that is probably in their price range and are probably realistic options for the New York Yankees at this point in time, and we're going to dive into every single one of them, their profiles, things they've changed in recent times, things that have made them better, how I would project them going forward, and what contract I would offer to them in the free agent market. Before we get into everything, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell. We greatly appreciate your guys' support, and as spring training nears, we can't wait to get you guys involved in the conversations we've got going on. But without further ado, let's get into today's video. Let's get things started talking about Ryan Brasier. Now, if you aren't aware of who Ryan Brasier is, he was with the Red Sox for an extremely long time. He was actually drafted by the Angels, but spent his entire major league career, except for 2013, with the Boston Red Sox. Then he was traded to the Dodgers in 2023. He was awful for the Red Sox this past year. He really struggled. It looked like his season or his career was done. And then he figures it out. He just finds the cutter. He finds the command of his arsenal. He's able to get things back online, and he looked like a better version of himself. The Dodgers are an excellent organization. These are the kinds of things they do. And looking at Ryan Brasier's profile, 3.02 ERA, 59 appearances, 23.5% strikeout rate, 8% walk rate, 0.45 home runs per 9. That is the lowest mark of his career. That 3.02 ERA, by the way, is the lowest mark for a full season of play for Brasier since 2018. In every other year where he threw at least 30 innings, his ERA was above 3.96, and in every season where he's thrown at least 50 innings, his ERA has been no lower than 4.58. So this is really encouraging. With the Dodgers specifically, he was absolutely ridiculous. He put up a 0.70 ERA, a 2.48 FIP, struck out 26.6% of batters faced, 12.8% swinging strike rate, 51.1% ground ball rate. That's super notable. Ryan Brasier's always been a fly ball pitcher, but with the cutter, with the sinker, with the slider, he's kind of become more of a ground ball guy. He prevents damage contact. He doesn't give up home runs. This is the kind of guy that you would love for your bullpen, but the apprehension here would certainly be his age. Next August, he'll turn 37. This is an older guy, not a lot of mileage on his arm, but enough mileage where you would say it's reasonable to assume he could be an injury risk. There is some age regression you have to tack in there. His velocity is not going to get higher. It's likely only going to get lower as the years go on, and you have to make a short-term commitment. This cannot be a 3 or 4 year deal. I don't imagine the Yankees are shopping in a 3 to 4 year price window for relievers at this point, but I'm just pointing out I don't think the New York Yankees are going to give him a multi-year deal. I think Brasier would have to sign a 1-year deal. If Hector Neris is signing a 1-year deal, I imagine Ryan Brasier would have to sign like a 1-year, $5 to $6 million deal. I would certainly do it. He improved against left-handed batters. He pitched with the Dodgers. He pitched in high leverage. He has familiarity with the AL East, and there were legitimate skill progressions here. There's a lot to like here. There's a lot to believe that Ryan Brasier legitimately made strides as a pitcher, and he's now better than he was in the past. But moving on to a younger option here, you have Phil Maton, who the Yankees have also been connected to. Now, Phil Maton is interesting because Phil Maton does not throw hard at all. Ryan Brasier throws 96, so you immediately look at him and say, all right, this guy throws hard, clearly he's good. Well, Phil Maton's fastball is so-so. Like, his four-seam fastball just wasn't a good pitch for him. It would consistently get rocked, and so he shifted to a pure cutter. Now, his fastball has always been weird. It's a cut-ride fastball. It's an interesting pitch, but he's dumbed down the usage of the fastball, basically replaced it as a cutter, throwing more sweepers, throwing more curveballs, and he ended up having his best season as a pro, a 3 ERA flat, 68 appearances, 27% strikeout rate. He struck out 74 batters this past year, the second highest mark of his career behind his 2021, where he struck out 85 batters. He cut the home run per 9 down from 1.37 last year to 0.82. If I'm not mistaken, that's the lowest mark he's had in a year as well. I believe in 2021 it was a little bit lower, but the run environment was also worse, so you have to adjust for that. Phil Maton looked really good last year. I thought he was really excellent, an underrated part of of that Astros bullpen, has been part of the Astros since the trade deadline in 2021. The Astros acquired him for Miles Straw at the deadline. Ultimately, that move has worked out pretty well for them. And again, like, Maton has a ton of potential. He flashed a lot of it last year. He is a contact managing king because of the cutter and the great breaking balls. He has a great ability to get whiffs. He's a guy who could play well at Yankee Stadium. He's entering his age 31 season, and it's unlikely that he would demand much in terms of a contract as well. Now, one big thing here is that the Astros have consistently gotten poor production from him in high leverage situations. He has a career negative 3.16 win probability added. He doesn't have a single season with a positive win probability added, but I would say this, your performance in high leverage situations and clutch situations isn't as sticky year to year as like your strikeout rates or your walk rates or, you know, your damage prevention, like things of that nature. So perhaps there's a pitcher here who is only going to get, you know, around $3 to $4 million, somewhere around like where an Adam Ottavino got. And you can get a guy who is going to really help your bullpen. I don't imagine he's going to cost a ton. I don't imagine that he's going to be a guy that the Yankees are going to have to break the bank for. He could be a guy who takes a 1-year deal in the hopes that he ends up, you know, getting better next year, and maybe hitting the market again. But ultimately, I really do believe that Phil Maton is a quality reliever, an underrated reliever in that. You know, I know that his stuff plus and his fastball is brutal. I believe it's like 56, if I'm not mistaken. But they classify his fastball as a four-seamer. It's clearly not a four-seam fastball. It is a cutter. It is a cutter in every sense of the word. Look at the movement profiles. It gets like 5 inches of glove side movement. That's clearly not a four-seam fastball. So as a cutter, it's a pretty solid pitch. And ultimately, yeah, I think he's a pretty good reliever, and I'd be really pumped if the Yankees got him. But let's turn to more familiar faces now. We're going to look at Wandy Peralta. Now, Wandy Peralta has been with the Yankees since the early parts of 2021. If you guys don't remember, the Yankees acquired him in return for Mike Tauchman from the San Francisco Giants, and he's put up a 2.82 ERA in his career with the Yankees. Now, Peralta's an interesting pitcher because he is the guy who's had the most high leverage success on this list. He's clearly the most accomplished reliever here. He's clearly the guy that has been the most trusted in big spots, and he's the guy who's converted most of those opportunities. But the issue here is the regression in command and the regression in quality of contact. His 1.17 home run per 9 is the lowest it's been in a while. That was not good, or excuse me, the highest it's been in a while. And it resulted in an ugly 5.05 FIP. Another factor in that, the walk rate. It went from 7.6% in 2022 to 13.2% in 2023, the highest mark of his career since 2018. Obviously, that's pretty concerning as well. He kept the ball on the ground, 57.4% ground ball rate. That was actually up from last year, but the barrel rate was up from 4.4% to 7.1%. The ex-Wobicon was worse as well. The swinging strike rate decreased by nearly 3%. Those are all negative trends. These are things you don't want to see in a reliever. Hard hit rate goes up as well. Like, these are all bad traits, but there is something to like here, and it's the profile. Like, the guy has a great changeup. The guy is a good sinker. His slider is an interesting pitch. He kind of dabbled in his four-seamer a little bit more as the season went on, and it was a pretty plus pitch for him, especially against right-handed batters, because he released some such a weird slot. But I think the Yankees are going to need to retinker some things in his profile if they're going to get him to perform at a consistently elite clip. I'm not gonna lie, this screams regression, right? Like, all projection systems believe his ERA will go up by close to a run. The most favorable projection for him is 3.63 from ATC. That's still going up 0.8 runs in terms of your ERA, and you have multiple outlets giving him a negative F4 projection. Zips has him at negative 0.1 and a 4.41 ERA. Even Steamer, which, you know, has consistently always liked Wandy Peralta, believes he's a 3.80 reliever in terms of ERA and a 4.13 FIP. That's certainly not that exciting. It's a little bit worse than the projections for some of the other guys we're going to talk about. It's right around in line with like a Ryan Brasier, except you imagine Brasier going to cost a little bit less. And you could argue Brasier has some skills, or he displayed some skills last year that project a little bit better in the near future than the skills that Peralta had. But at the same time, one could argue, hey, look, it was command. Peralta was struggling to locate in the right spots. He got away with it still. He had a 2.83 ERA and was still clutch for the Yankees. He put up great numbers in high leverage. But I'm trying to project for the future. And in projecting for the future, looking at a high walk rate, looking at a high home run rate, and looking at a mediocre strikeout rate doesn't bode well for your future. But moving on to the last guy, we have Keynan Middleton. Now, Keynan Middleton personally is maybe my favorite target on this list. He has familiarity with the Yankees. He has excellent projections. Steamer has him at a 3.98 ERA, Zips at a 3.89. I know that those don't sound super enticing, but they are the best projections on this list in terms of WAR and consistency. The strikeout numbers were excellent. He struck out 30.2% of batters faced, had all 3 of his pitches generate a whiff rate at or above 30%. He had a 17% swinging strike rate this year. Among pitchers who threw at least 50 innings, that ranked in the top 10. His 56.6% ground ball rate is the second best mark of these 4 guys, just a percentage point behind Wandy Peralta. So in terms of quality of contact management, he's up there with the rest of the guys on this list. Now, Keynan Middleton made a couple of tweaks with the Yankees last year that made him really good. Number one, they had him throw his slider more against right-handed batters, and I think pitch usage and pitch selection in certain spots was the big reason why he broke out the way he did last year, putting up a 3.38 ERA, the lowest mark over a full season in his career. He struck out a ton of batters. 64 is a new career high for him. He has a lot of the skills that we would call projectable. Now, his walk rate's a little bit high, 10.8%, but when you're striking out 30.2% of batters faced, that's fine. Kind of cutting back to high leverage situations. How does he perform when there are big situations? Is the guy that bullpens typically go away from? In years past, he's had some inconsistent years. His WPA in 2020, which is win probability added, was negative 0.47. This past year, it was plus 0.30, and he accumulated 90% of that win probability added with the Yankees, which would indicate that the Yankees got more of it out of his profile, and they were comfortable using him in high leverage because the Yankees only had him for 12 games. He suffered a couple of injuries with his shoulder. I am a little bit concerned about the shoulder. I'm not going to lie. That's probably the big thing that holds me back from being all in and saying, if they don't sign Keynan Middleton, I don't know what the hell they're doing. But I will say that if we're talking about at this price point, if we're talking about in this price range, and we're talking about the position of pitchers where guys get hurt all the time, I'll go with Keynan Middleton. I think he might cost the least out of anybody in this group, or at least he won't cost more than everybody else in this group. I think he has the best stuff in the group. I think he has the best strikeout potential. I think he has the best projectability. He is also the youngest guy on this list, so personally speaking, just in my opinion, I think he projects best out of everybody on this list, and because of that, I have him as my top guy. I want to know what you guys think, though. Who should the Yankees bring in from their bullpen? You've got 4 guys listed here. Maybe I missed out on some options. You guys let me know in the comment section below, but out of these 4 guys, who would you pick? Tell me why. Tell me who we would stay away from. And of course, make sure to check out Fireside Yankees on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and of course, this YouTube page. You guys can subscribe, like, turn on that notification bell, comment, do all that stuff. It helps support the channel, and it's all free. We appreciate you guys so much for sticking by. And if you guys want to keep up with news with the New York sports teams, you guys got to check out EmpireSportsMedia.com. Again, links are all in the description. Thank you so much. Let's go Yankees, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.